Hi, welcome to my channel, Victorious Productions, and today we'll be discussing this phenomenal book, Cilka's Journey. This is a series book actually from the original The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I haven't done a video about this yet, but this is a phenomenal book as well. But it is based on a true story, and so just to give you a little bit of a backstory. If you have not read this book first, read this one first, then move to Cilka's Journey, because in this book, this is a book about Lal, I think I'm saying that correctly. He was one of the tattooists of Auschwitz, and he had to tattoo every prisoner that entered into the concentration camp. And so through that, he met a woman named Gita, and Gita had a friend named Cilka, and Cilka was absolutely beautiful. And what set her apart from all of the rest of the prisoners at Auschwitz was that she was able to keep her hair, and everybody else had to shave their head. And there's a lot of other things that Cilka was able to have because one of the SS officers, part of the concentration camp, became very fond of her and and valued her as his property in some way. So he didn't want Cilka to cut her hair because that was the person that he was having sex with, and that was kind of his personal prisoner and his slave per se as well. So in the book, she's mentioned in the book, and then at the end when the Russians end up invading the concentration camp, I think it was the Russians, what happened was they ended up just totally losing sight of Cilka, and nobody knows what happens to Cilka. So that's what this book, Cilka's Journey, is all about. And it tells you what, I'm trying not to get the glare out, but it's trying to tell you what happened with her after she left. I believe she was at Birkenau, I think I said that right, I don't know. But that was the camp that she was at, but she constantly would go back and forth from Auschwitz back to Birkenau. Pretty much Cilka, she ends up becoming a prisoner after they invaded Auschwitz. The Russians, what happened was I'm trying to explain this very well so I don't get anybody confused, because her story is very important, and I don't want to ruin her story, and I don't want to make it where I get anybody confused. But after the concentration camp was invaded by the Russians, somebody that was one of the people that were at Auschwitz ended up telling on Cilka, saying that she slept with the enemy. And so because of that, she had to spend 15 years in prison because she had sex with one of the SS officers. Now, mind you, when Cilka entered into the concentration camp, she was only 16 years old. She was a young girl. So at that moment, she saw what was happening around her, and all that she was thinking about was survival. And it was absolutely heart-wrenching to hear that she spends 3 years in the concentration camps, and then she has to spend 15 years in prison over something that she had absolutely no control over. She could not say no. And it was extremely devastating to read the story, because at that time, just reading it, you can hear, women had absolutely no value, like she had, people, they made it seem as if she had a choice, but people were literally, women were throwing themselves into electric fences so that they did not have to survive the concentration camps, because they were so brutal. And it makes me a loss for words because it was so intense. But through the journey and through Cilka's journey, it's phenomenal, because it shows you how much someone can go through, and they can still have compassion and kindness and love, and just have this pure soul and this pure heart. And that's what Cilka shows throughout the entire story, is that she's always thinking about everyone else. While she was in the concentration camps, her sister ended up dying. Her mom, there was another part in the story that was absolutely devastating. And Cilka was part of, there was sort of like these chambers. It was like a death chambers type of thing. So what they'll do is they'll house all of like the sick and the elderly and I believe children in these cabins kind of. And she was a part of like that entire cabin. And everyone that was within that building had to go and get hauled over or moved over to the gas chambers the next day or the following morning. So she knew everybody that was going into her quarters was going to die. That was going to be their last day alive. And she was placed there by the SS officer that's been raping her. And one day she noticed that her mom was there, and she hasn't seen her mom since before she entered the concentration camps. And her mom, she's sick, and it was so devastating. Her mom at that time, she said that she could feel herself dying. She was just so sick and so weak. And Cilka, knowing that she can do something about this, she was going to go and tell the person who's raping her, ask the person who was raping her if she could get her mom out of that predicament. But her mom didn't want her to do that. Her mom just wanted to spend those last moments with her daughter. Whew. Whew. It's so sad. That's intense. I mean, I can't even contemplate this level of pain. This level of pain is like so unbearable because it's all real. And the thing is that, and this is why I feel like it's so important for us to save history. And I know people want to destroy things like this because it's so evil in what it represents, but it's a reminder of how far people can go and how evil people can be. And if you don't have those types of reminders and you don't have any proof of it, people forget and they don't know, like, okay, this is history. As easy as it could have went back then, it could happen now. And so back to the story. Sorry to derail, but it's so hard to talk about. But she spends the night with her mother, and it's her last night with her mother. And she walks her to the cart that's going to take her to the gas chambers, and she completely collapses. And and it's good to read stories like this and listen to people's stories, because you realize that whatever you're going through is not this bad. I mean, this is about as bad as you can go. I mean, talking about taking away everything that you have, everything that you love, and just having nothing left but your own life. At some point, you're like, well, what's the point? And a lot of people, part of this concentration camp, that's what they had to deal with. Is like, what is the point? Everything I own, all my loved ones, everything that I am is gone. They stripped everything from me. And Cilka, it's a phenomenal story. It's a resilient story, and it's a true story, and it's intense. So when Cilka goes to this prison after she's been convicted of sleeping with the SS officer, she goes there and she meets all of these lovely women, and then she meets some women that are not so lovely as well, but they start to love her, and they start to become a close-knit family, and it's beautiful. And there's some parts in it. There's a woman in there, Dr. Yelena, who is a big character in her life that helps her. I believe that Yelena, what she can see from Cilka is that Cilka has something in her that is phenomenal, and that's great. And I think that there's something about Cilka that she loves. And what Yelena ends up giving Cilka a job within the prison as a nurse, helping people. And that helps her through her time at the prison, not doing the strenuous hard labor, but helping people and showing that she has some sort of purpose. And she ends up learning a lot about medicine and getting really involved in the medical field. And it's a phenomenal story. I think that it's intense because you think that even at a prison that there would be some sort of, it wouldn't be as bad as the concentration camps, but even in a way, you know, Cilka goes there and she ends up getting raped consistently. And you're just thinking, you're getting everything stripped from you. At some point, you're just, and there's been times in the book where Cilka just has had it. She's just has had it. She's like, how much more of myself do I, like, it's just, yeah. So it's really difficult to sum everything up because there are such phenomenal parts in the book that, there's so many great parts in this book that I really loved, but she's a phenomenal woman. I absolutely adored the book. Stories I've even had when I was in the medical field, I had patients who had parents who were in the concentration camps, and I've had some who died when they were coming to transport people into the concentration camp. So to me it's amazing to hear people's stories and what they've overcome, and it gives people hope like myself for things that are negative in my life that I can overcome. But I feel that if you're looking for a good read, I think that A Tattooist of Auschwitz, I would start with this one, and then I would move on to Cilka's Journey, and that's a great one that I'm reviewing now, and it's all about Cilka and her journey after the concentration camps and going into the prison, where she serves 15 years for nothing. She didn't even do anything, but she serves 15 years. A part of me feels like, and I mean, this may be a bit of a reach. But I feel that God, in a way, knows our heart and knows our soul and knows who we are. And although it seems very cruel, I think that he picks Cilka to come into the prison and to go into the situation with the concentration camp, and she survived throughout all of that. But as she survived, she was able to help people along the way and give them hope. Because she had friends like Gita, and there's another girlfriend that she had, or a couple of girlfriends that she had in the concentration camp, and they helped each other get through. And when she went into the prison, Yelena, I believe Yelena probably was dealing with some issues as well, because I don't know if she was from Georgia, like the United States, like the state of Georgia in the U.S. I don't know if that was the case, but they said that she was from Georgia. So I believe that's it. But you know how like they have like cities that are named states sometimes, or you go out of the country, there's like a state that's named, it's just weird. But anyways, I think that it was Georgia from the United States, but she ended up getting slapped by a doctor in the face. And in Russia, they don't play no games. You can't talk about politics. You can't talk poorly about the politics. They take it extremely seriously. Even till this day, they take it seriously. And so, I think that it helped even Dr. Yelena get through her situation, because she volunteered at the prison. She wasn't just picked and brought there, she volunteered. So the fact that she stayed as long as she did, I think that she stayed because of Cilka. And then, all of the girls in the prison, they were away from their children, and they're in like really bad living conditions and having to work in the mines in, I think they're like mining coal or something by hand. These women, and a lot of them are middle-aged women and older, that are doing all of these things. So I think that Cilka has this resilience in her that she's not able to see. She's just trying to survive. But she's able to help all of these people. And there's another part. There's so many other parts, but there's another part. There's a young girl in here named Josie, and Josie ends up entering the prison at 16, and she gets raped by this guy named Vladimir or something. And Vladimir, he's constantly raping her. But see, the issue is with her being young, Josie being young, she's not realizing this is not true love, boo. This is a man trying to, he's just taking your body. All you are is a body. That's it. So she can't correlate between the difference between that, because she's never had anyone who's done this to her. So she's starting to fall for Vladimir, which is her rapist, who has absolutely no care, no feeling for her. And Vladimir ends up getting her pregnant. And so Vladimir, when she told Vladimir about her being pregnant, Vladimir's like, I don't want a baby from you. I don't want a baby. And like totally dismisses her. Now, mind you, Josie is devastated. Okay, she's absolutely devastated because she was not expecting that. And so Cilka helps Josie, even though Josie gets really distant from Cilka because she believes that Cilka allowed her to get raped. But at the same time as Josie was getting raped, Cilka was getting raped at the exact same time. And Cilka told her, you just got to relax and just let it go and let it happen, because there's nothing that you can do. There's nothing I can do. We can't fight these men off. You got to just lay there, let it happen, and we got to move on. You can't fight back. And I think Josie held that against Cilka for a very, very, very long time. But Cilka was just trying to help her, and she was trying to save her and make sure that she's okay. Josie could not understand that at the time, but hopefully she was able to. But there was a time where Cilka had an opportunity to leave the camp, I believe after like 5 years. They gave her an opportunity to leave, and she said no. Well, she didn't tell the person no, but she said, if I can transfer that favor over to my friend Josie and her daughter, because once Josie had a baby, after 2 years, they separate them, and her daughter has to go into foster care or a foster home, and she never will probably be able to see her again. And so Cilka was thinking, okay, if you could take them and just keep me here. And that was like another act of just selflessness. But a part of me also thinks that Cilka was thinking, I mean, who am I going to go home to? I don't know if my father's alive, which in the book I don't read that he is alive or not, but she doesn't know if her father's even alive, and her mom's dead and her sister's dead. So it's like, it's really, who am I going home to? So I can see, and I think that it's also like she's kind of scared too, because what are you going to do? You spent all this time in the concentration camps, all this time in prison, and you know, so it was selfless, and it was absolutely beautiful to see that, to read that part of it, because Josie was able to get out and she was able to be with her daughter, and it was beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Cilka also ends up meeting a man in the, I'm not gonna kill the whole story for you guys, but she ends up meeting a man in here and falls for him. She didn't think that she could, but she does. So it was a beautiful, beautiful story. I love it. I recommend it. If you are interested in individual stories from the Holocaust, I think this will be a really good read for you. So yeah, there you go. So I think, and it was a really easy read as well. I'm not like a major avid book reader, and I'm really big on finding good reads and easy reads, because I don't want things going way over my head. It has to be like right in front of me, or I'm not going to get it. So so anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you've read Tattooist of Auschwitz, let me know in the comments. If you've read Cilka's Journey, I'm curious to know which part was the part that made you cry the most. I think the one part that just, I mean, it broke my heart was the part about her mother. When she saw her mother, that was like, oh, I started crying instantly. I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for it. So I hope you guys liked the video. I don't want to start tearing up. I'm going to start tearing up all over again. But guys, please like my video. Comment down below if you've read it, your favorite part of the book. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye!